Hi, good evening. So this video is going to be a little tutorial on how to get started with a pendulum. First, the first thing you'll need is a pendulum. Here is one of my new favorites in a little pouch to keep it in. Let me talk about this first. Occult tools is very much based on absorbing the user's energy, which is then stores and then makes the tool more powerful. To protect this energy and also to protect it from um, sucking up energy from the environment around and getting energies you don't want in it, it is often a wise idea to have occult tools protected in some sort of bag or wrapping. Now, ideally, this should be of a natural substance such as cotton, uh, silk, and so on. But I generally have not done that. This is some sort of, I'm not really sure what this fabric is called, but I'm pretty sure it's not natural. So about anything works. Cotton or silk is better, so I am planning on getting a silk drawstring bag for my for the pendulums I use the most, but I haven't gotten that far yet. So yes, to the tutorial. This is a pendulum. Now a pendulum is a dowsing tool, which is basically just a weight on a string. Technically you could use anything. You could in several countries, folklore, it is common to use a strand of hair and a person's wedding ring. Traditionally, this was used to douse whatever or not a pregnant woman would have a boy or a girl. So you can use anything. But this is your typical pendulum. So, yes. Now, what I say next is going to be my personal opinion and not hard and hard truth. Is not basically the there are no ultimate truths when it comes to most things within the occult, and that includes dowsing. But in my opinion, what happens when you use a pendulum is that you get information from your own subconscious, which do get which do absorb more information than your conscious mind registers. I also think that you get information from gods, goddesses, from spirits, from energies, from psychic impulses. But and then it's not the pendulum itself that does something. You do something, and then micro movements in your hand as you move the pendulum creates a way for your subconscious, who stores all this information, to communicate with you. But yes, this is a very simple set of exercises that, when done regularly, will help you attune with a pendulum. Many people, when they first get a pendulum, have a problem in getting it to move. So, and it usually just takes a little bit of practice. So basically what you do, and this is that you sit with the pendulum like this, and you concentrate on it, and you ask it to show you yes. So you can say, can I have a yes? And as you see, my pendulum begins to move. Now, what is yes and no and so on varies from person to person, and it also varies with the pendulum. So and sometimes it even shifts within one individual pendulum, so it's usually wise to, at some point, quite regularly ask it. But anyway, this is a basic exercise, and I recommend this is being done each day until you feel you have a good communication with your pendulum. And you can ask it, can I have a no? And as you see, my pendulum changes the way it moves. For me, usually a circular motion in any direction means yes, and a back and forth motion means no. And I would do perhaps 10 repetitions of this. So I would sit and say, can I have a yes? Can I have a no? And also another question, the pendulum can give you yes and no answers, but I can also give you maybe, and this answer is asked wrong. So I would also want to train in those responses. So I'll ask my pendulum, can I have a maybe? And for me, maybe is a diagonal line like this. But it might be another reaction for you. And I ask it, can I have a question asked wrong? And for me, a question asked wrong is a horizontal line like this. And I just do a few repetitions of this too, and go back to the yes and no. Now, sometimes when starting out, you do have some people, then pendulum responds right away, but for some people, they have a problem with getting it to first start moving. So they ask for a yes and nothing happens. Now, if this happens, I would recommend that you physically get it to move, and then you say, this is a yes. And you can also then you do the no, and you say, this is a no. And you do this quite a few times, because as you remember, the point is your brain sends information to your hand, and it is, even if it doesn't look like your hand is moving, it is micro movements in your hand which creates the movements of the pendulum. So that what you're doing is that you're telling your brain, and by that your subconscious, that when the pendulum moves, that when it wants to tell you yes, the pendulum moves one way, or when it wants to tell you no, the pendulum moves another way. Now, if you program the pendulum this way, it might still be that when you get used to it, that the directions change, because like I said, that happens sometimes, but it should help you get moving. Now, in the first pendulum book I read, it was also recommended that you did this little prayer, and I usually include them when I train with the pendulum, because while I did get my first pendulum, it was either for my 15th or 16th birthday, but I used my mother's pendulum before that. I remember that I used to play hide and seek with my friends using my mother's pendulum to find them. So I've grown up with the pendulum, but even I usually do this exercise regularly. But I add this little ritual in it, which helps me. So then I ask for a yes. Can I have a yes? And then I say, this is yes. This is positive. This is young. This is yes. And then I ask for a no. Can I have a no? And then I say, this is no. This is negative. This is yin. This is no. So this helps me connect more to the pendulum. Now, if you do this, like, let's say you do 5 repetitions of yes and no, and then 3 repetitions of maybe and wrong asked question, and then another 5 repetitions of yes and no, and include the little ritual prayer, or what you want to call that, where you tell the pendulum, this is yes, this is young, and so on, then that is a very good daily exercise. Another thing that helps build a connection with the pendulum is to ask it questions, but questions that you know the answer of. So, for example, I might sit with the pendulum and I might say, is there a cat next to me? Am I a girl? Am I sitting in the middle of a desert? So, basically, yeah, you um, get the idea. You ask pendulum questions you already know the answers to, and I actually think I got the wrong answer there because I was focusing more on talking than on the pendulum, because you have to focus on it. So that's also a point of why you do the exercise, because you want to be able to focus on the pendulum. But yeah, you ask it questions that you already know the answers to, because that again helps you program your mind to how it should respond when it wants to give you information, whatever that information comes from your subconscious or comes from some supernatural source. So I would recommend putting in a few, after you've done the rest of the exercise, that you put in a few questions that you know the answers to, a few yes and no things that are true and things that are false. Now, this might not be the most impressive of exercises, but it will help you form a connection, a relationship with your pendulum. And of course, every time you use your pendulum, your energies will mix with the pendulum and making that particular pendulum a better tool for you. So I hope this little tutorial was useful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Have a great day and blessed be.